Yeah, basically, Guerilla Mainframe was a revolutionary movement founded in June of 2008, and basically with 4 people. Basically, to found a revolutionary movement that's more centered on what the people need. A lot of times we build our movements on a personality, as we call it, code of personality, but we didn't want to do that. We understood that the revolutionary movement, the masses, the working class masses of any society is supposed to benefit from the revolutionary platform and principles, and not, the benefit of leaders, in particular leaders. And so once we found it, we knew we had to have a base of operation, along with community programs and service to serve the people, so they understand what's going on. We're not coming in with a superhero mentality or anything of that nature, but we're coming in with a mentality to say we are all part of you and we want our community to be better. We want self-determining communities, and this is how we're gonna bring you into this vehicle of change, is by service and programs.
Guerilla Mainframe was born out of a necessity to serve the people, to offer a vehicle of change that directly addresses the issues that continue to plague Black communities.
So we took the name Guerilla just because we understood the symbolic nature of what the guerrilla meant for the community. And I'm not necessarily speaking in terms of the animal per se. I'm talking about the person that's in the community that wants to bring about change in a very direct way. So that's why we chose the terminology guerrilla. And also in relations to a brother that was in prison in the latter 60s, early 70s by the name of George Jackson. George Lester Jackson was a very prominent figure.
Most important element to guerrilla warfare is to maintain secrecy. I've killed nobody until it's been proven, and they'll never be able to prove anything like that.
And he wrote several books. One of those books was called Blood in My Eye. And Blood in My Eye for us, Guerilla Mainframe, is the type of manuscript, the type of book that we took our base ideas from. It gave us an understanding of what we believe is absolutely necessary, which we have always felt that a more direct approach to dealing with the community is a proper approach. And so that's the basis of what Guerilla Mainframe has been about since its inception in 2008. That's our position, that's our mandate, and that's what we're doing.
Eric Sandiata Kafre and Rakem Balogun stands on the movement being more than just rhetoric. It's about action, providing armed patrols throughout the Highland Hills area of Dallas, Texas.
We protecting Black people. We ain't doing nothing bad, y'all. Patrol coming through.
Members are trained in self-defense both physically and politically.
And we spoke with to Tanel Atkins. We went to the town hall budget meeting. We told him he needs to put some more money into the homeless issue out here.
What Guerilla Mainframe was attempting to do was we was actually wanting to bring that position of self-defense out before the community. So we were training people hand-to-hand combat. We was training people with the arms. We were training people, most importantly, politically. We were taught by an individual by the name of Bandeli Tayumba, who is the founder of Pan-African Connection, along with his wife, Akwete Tayumba. We were early students of Bandeli. And so not only you match that with the self-defense, with the ideas,
Contact!
and then you got a situation that becomes volatile.
And this volatility wasn't just about the tactics. It was about the threat the movement posed to those in power. The FBI took notice, and soon another key figure within Guerilla Mainframe, Rakem Balogun, found himself at the center of a national controversy.
The fact that I was on social media, not empathizing with police officers who have been killed while in duty, and also due to a protest I did in Austin. Pretty much that as a whole, that makes me a threat to the community.
Right now, he's in prison for other charges, one being assault with a deadly weapon. But previously, before that, he was one of the first, if not the first, person to be labeled with the actual face on it as a Black identity extremist.
Ready. Contact!
Rakem's military background and his dedication to teaching self-defense and political education laid the foundation for Guerilla Mainframe, a movement that quickly garnered both fear and respect. But with this influence came scrutiny. In 2017, the FBI controversially labeled Rakem Balogun as a black identity extremist. This classification refers to individuals or groups perceived as using violence in response to racial injustice and police brutality.
The thing about Rakem, what made him particularly special, obviously because he have experiences in the Marine Corps. He's an Iraqi veteran, and he knew how to defend himself, and also he was teaching others how to defend themselves.
The government's targeting of black activists, even in name alone, echoes the notorious tactics of COINTELPRO, an FBI program from the 1950s and on through the 1970s designed to surveil, infiltrate, and dismantle civil rights organizations.
At the high point of FBI involvement with the Klan, 1 out of 4 Klansmen was an FBI agent. So a lot, if not all, of Ku Klux Klan policy and actions were being directed by or acquiesced in by the FBI. And this led to the FBI and its COINTELPRO program and its other racially oriented programs actually being implicated in and instigating crimes, civil rights crimes, murders and such things, the Birmingham church bombing.
COINTELPRO was infamous for its role in undermining black leaders and movements, leading to the imprisonment of many, and most notably, the assassination of Fred Hampton, a prominent leader of the Black Panther Party in Chicago.
Ed Hanrahan, who was the political heir apparent of Mayor Daley, wanted to take credit for having killed this Black Panther leader. So he went on television, and he went on television explaining how Fred Hampton had come out of his bedroom firing a pistol, and how all the Panthers inside had repeatedly broken ceasefires and repeatedly fired at the police. The problem is when you fire a bullet, 2 things happen. You have a shell that comes from your gun, and you have a bullet that comes out the other end. When the evidence was all gathered, it turned out that all the shells that were found in the apartment came from police weapons, with the possible exception of one. All the bullet holes, the directions of those bullet holes, were all coming inside from outside.
This historical parallel highlights the ongoing struggle against systematic efforts to silence black activism and the enduring legacy of government repression.
This was basically another COINTEL counterintelligence program to, break down and sabotage black radical movements and organizations that had effect on the mass of people, that could electrify them and to get them gravitating toward their purpose.
The irony in the concept of black identity extremism was black people were essentially guilty because they identified with merely being black. And this was despite all the white supporters and protesters in the Black Lives Matter movement. In 2017, this biased targeting of a specific race took center stage as California State Representative Karen Bass questioned Attorney General Jeff Sessions during his appearance before the House Judiciary Committee.
Okay, so you haven't necessarily read the report, but you are familiar with the term black identity extremists?
Well, I think so, yes.
So can you tell me what that term means to you? Do you believe that there is a movement of African Americans that identify themselves as black identity extremists, and what does that movement do?
Well, I'd be interesting to see the conclusions of that report, but I'm aware that there are groups that do have an extraordinary commitment to their racial identity, and some have transformed themselves even into violent activists.
Are you aware of white organizations that do this as well? Given that white supremacy is well-documented, well-researched movements such as the neo-Nazis, the Ku Klux Klan, etc., are they white identity extremists?
I didn't follow that question, please, again.
Is there a term or a report on white identity extremists? You mentioned you were familiar with black people who identify with their racial identity.
Yes, but it's not coming to me at this moment.
Not coming to you?
It's
certainly a group such as the Ku Klux Klan.
Yes, and then the skinhead movements, but there's a racial identity white movements that have been identified for sure.
So has the FBI done a report on white identity extremists that are likely motivated to target law enforcement officers? Is there such
I'm not
a
aware
report?
of that.
Okay, are you aware of a group called the Sovereign Citizens?
I've heard that group, yes.
And I believe that the Sovereign Citizens is primarily a white organization that absolutely has targeted police officers and killed police officers. You're not aware of that?
I'm not aware of all their crimes, but I know they're a group that's known to have violent tendencies.
So you should know that a lot of activists around the country are very concerned that we're getting ready to repeat a very sad chapter of our history, where people who are rightfully protesting what they consider to be an injustice in their community, which is their relationship with police officers, are now being targeted and labeled as extremists and are going through periods of surveillance and harassment.
And so this black identity extremist thing was something that was a second level to that, you know, a modern day version of the COINTELPRO, which was, you know, to put out there that these regular, everyday working people who have families and friends and things like that, you know, they have jobs and businesses, but who are organizers, who are consistent organizing activists. This was to put out there that these people are somehow dangerous and a threat to the American society, and they must be watched.
I think what took it over the top was our position in terms of armed self-defense. I think what really took it over the top. And so that's what made us, in a sense, the black identity extremists, at least from their perspective. We dispel the term black identity extremists. We dispel it. We just say that we're more for black empowerment because we love our community.
While several politicians have all cited how unfair it is, or how they can't just pass legislation to benefit one race, this appeared to be a clear contradiction.
Listen, the reality also is this. Any policy that will benefit black people will benefit all of society. Let's be clear about that. Let's really be clear about that. So I'm not going to sit here and say I'm going to do something that's only going to benefit black people. No.
It seems like every time we talk about black people and us getting something for the systematic oppression and exploitation of our people, we have to include every other person of color. So today, can we please talk about specifically black people and reparations?
We can talk about what I just indicated, in my view, is that when you have, and you and I may have a disagreement on this, because it's not just black, it is Latino. There are areas in America, in poor rural areas, where it's whites.
Senator Obama, your position on reparations?
I think the reparations we need right here in South Carolina is investment, for example, in our schools.
Do you, like many of those 2020 candidates, they have not thrown their full support behind reparations. They are throwing their support behind a bill that would study and consider reparations. Do you support that?
I don't. The subject of reparations is 100 years too old from my perspective.
I think black people in this country, in the United States of America, and particularly really the world, but specifically America, has been fighting for our identity. And I think one of the best ways that we've done that is we look at our phenotype and we can see that naturally we are a beautiful people. And once we identify ourselves our natural way, our holistic way, I think that there are powers to be within this country look at us as the enemy. Their whole entire objective, I'm speaking of America, specifically European Americans, have desired to institutionalize black people and make us forget whom we were. And so anytime that there is a type of movement that rationalize and make us remember that our ancestors come from a continent, or that our ancestors predate the experiences from European and have a history outside of that, that becomes something that they find to be challenging. The entire black identity extremist movement, or ideal or terminology, could have been anyone in particular, because all of us, or a number of people, fight for that, the black experience, the black independence, the black self-determination. Anybody that stands for that, they tend to categorize in such a way.
We're gonna keep boots on the ground.
And with Rakem Balogun back behind bars and the organization under constant scrutiny, Guerilla Mainframe now faces the challenge of maintaining momentum in the face of adversity. The negative press and the weight of being labeled as extremists have taken a toll on the group as they grapple with the reality of operating under the shadow of surveillance and legal pressure.
It does lower the morale a little bit when you see this happen. It kind of, some people back off and not as active. But on the other side of that, you have people that step up. You know what I'm saying? People that step up to say, yeah, they backed off, but I'm here.
Despite the hurdles, Guerilla Mainframe refuses to slow down. They continue to sprint forward, extending their reach beyond Texas. With a renewed focus on resisting police militarization, they've now joined forces with Community Movement Builders, another black organization that fosters community building and control.
And Community Movement Builders is primarily based out of Atlanta, Georgia, and we have a number of different chapters and charters around the country. And one of our principal things to do is working on the agenda of stopping Cop City. And Cop City is the police agenda or response since the George Floyd rebellions, if you will, in 2020, which basically means that police are building state-of-the-art facilities in several parts of the country. So that's one thing that Community Movement Builders, again, which I'm a coordinator of, and this is a nonprofit that we're working with, is all about.
I mean, it feels good to be able to have a direct action for the community, not to just be talking about something, to be actually to give them something to help.
Recognizing the devastating impact of the fentanyl crisis, which is somewhat overlooked in black and brown communities, the organization has adapted its mission to meet the community's needs by offering Narcan.
We decided to do fentanyl especially because there's a lot of young people out there that are especially black and brown that are dying from fentanyl every day. And it was really personal to me because I had a cousin who died and overdosed off of fentanyl. And Narcan is something that can help reverse an overdose of that. And a lot of people don't know about it.
This shift underscores the organization's commitment to protecting their community, not just through self-defense, but by addressing public health emergencies head-on. As they tackle the fentanyl crisis with Narcan distribution, their dedication to community empowerment and cultural pride remains at the forefront as they continue their ongoing push to rename College Park to Fahim J. Minkah Community Park, honoring a man who dedicated over 30 years to serving the black community in Dallas.
There's an attitude I found on the part of policemen that must come from, during the training stage, that they are not answerable to the people. And this agency, police department, being an enforcement agency, being delegated the authority to use deadly force if they deem within their own discretion is necessary. Certainly such an agency should come direct, to the people and answer directly to the people. Because if a man walks over me with a gun, I want to have some control, some kind of check and balance on how he conducts himself.
We did some research about police brutality. His name kept coming up. And because of that, when he transitioned, he passed away. Not to mention that he started a skating rink over here in Oak Cliff, right on Ledbetter and Loop 12, that services this community, which still to this day is open and operational and the community is still benefiting from, called Southern Skates. Because of those things and because he dedicated 30 years plus, if not more, to this community, to this city of Dallas, we felt that it was an absolute need to rename College Park to Fahim J. Minkah Community Park.
Even as their leaders face personal challenges, Guerilla Mainframe persists, a testament to the enduring power of community-driven movements in the face of systematic oppression. From their roots in self-defense training and political education to addressing health crises like the fentanyl epidemic, they have remained steadfast in their mission to empower and protect their community. And as they expand their efforts across the country, partnering with groups like Community Movement Builders, Guerilla Mainframe stands as a powerful testament to the never-ending strength of grassroots activism in the pursuit of systematic change.
Like I say, people learn by observation and participation, and the people in America not learning what it is, to participate in a society that's, taking care of the masses of the people. And so, you know, the community service and programs are always geared toward, you know, the masses working together, understanding that we have to have some level and practice of self-determination. Being, you know, determining that we have said, hey, this is what we need, and we're not waiting on the Democrat, we're not waiting on the Republican Party. We're not waiting on any of the candidates to say they're gonna, you know, do something that none of the candidates ever done in the history of this country. You know, we know that what we need, we know what our capabilities are. We use our creativity and collective unity to get these things done. And that's what we're looking to do with all these things, with the park. Fahim was a collective guy. He organized with a collective group of people. It wasn't just him. You know, he just one of the people that we highlighted, you know, because he stood so strong for 30 plus years in the community. You know what I'm saying? And to rid it of its ill mechanism, its ill faults, you know, to organize and galvanize the people, to protect the youth of the community, to make sure the youth had something available for them to keep them out of the streets. And so it's just our job to leave a legacy. And with the Fahim J Minkah Park, you know, that's a landmark and an institution that we can use in the community that says, yeah, this is something we helped get done, and the person is named after is somebody we actually knew. Not somebody a long time ago who didn't like niggas, who was sexist or whatever. This is a person that we actually knew, that gave their life and gave their service, and involved the community in the practice of self-determination, love, and unity.